I met one guy. He was doing classes on self-healing, like self-help, and he also mixed that with Vedic knowledge. I didn't know that he was a devotee in Krishna consciousness, but I really resonated with how he explained Vedas and this EFT. He was actually doing EFT, emotional freedom technique, and he mixed it with Vedas, and he was very charismatic.
What is Veda?
Veda is Indian scripture. I mean, it's huge. It talks about philosophy, it talks about the religion, everything. Ayurveda is it's also part of Vedas. Then also you have a Kama Sutra. It's also part of Vedas. A Kama Sutra is about, man and a woman being together. It's not just about sex. It's about the relationship. It's also part of Veda. And you have these incantations. It's also like Rig Veda. There are many types of Vedas. But the Vedas that we were learning were called Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And it's about Krishna, and his pastimes and philosophy, religion, basically.
But I know about Ayurveda. I know that it's Ayur, I think means life, and Veda means, as far
Veda
as
means knowledge. Knowledge. It's
so
knowledge.
It's the life.
Yeah.
Ayurveda means the life knowledge.
Knowledge about life. It's basically knowledge about health. It's about health. What to eat, when to go to sleep, stuff like that.
So Veda is the knowledge, like knowledge about relationships, about maybe
everything that exists in cosmos.
So this guy was teaching knowledge.
He was teaching the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, verses from that, and philosophy through that, but from the point of view of Krishna consciousness. Because you see, there are many sampradayas in India, sampradaya meaning the school of thought. And each guru, acharya, or whatever, they have their own explanation of Vedas or Bhagavad Gita. So Hare Krishna have teacher called Srila Prabhupada, and so this was his version, how he saw, how he explained the Vedas. So it's different than some other acharya from some other school of thought in India. So there are many school of thought in India.
Yeah.
So he thought that he's the only one who is right, and so he wrote a book, Bhagavad Gita, as it is. There is Bhagavad Gita, but he wrote a book, Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Like, he's the only one right. He only gets it right. Nobody else. So that's like that. And he's pushing Krishna. Krishna is one of the incarnations of God. You have Vishnu, Krishna, Ram, blah, blah. And so Hare Krishna or Prabhupada, they're pushing Krishna as the main version of God, So if you're not believing in blue boy with flute, then, you're not believing in God or something like that.
So just let me make sure I understand. Because I already made a documentary with the Krishna community in Hungary, in the Krishna Valley near the Balaton Lake. So it's a big community of Krishna devotees. Yeah. And
they have a village.
Yes, and they grow organic, sustainable, all the things that me and you are interested in.
Yes. This is what got me hooked.
Yeah.
This is why I thought, the Krishna consciousness is good, because also this guy, Kakudmi Das, who showed all that to me, he was into building a society on land. And I was into land. And I wasn't necessarily into Krishna consciousness, but I was into land. I wanted to do that. And so I went to this farm in Hungary. Yeah, but...
So when I went, I was mainly, the film I shot was about me discovering the Krishna consciousness movement. And also I was more into children and how they are raised in such a community. And is it good to be isolated from the world and just be with Krishna devotees, or you should be mixing with the other children? So that was my main goal of making this film. But I didn't understand much of the Krishna philosophy itself. So can you explain to me, how does it explain the world, and why the little blue child?
Oh, the little blue child is He's basically God, and to me it doesn't matter how God looks like. To them it does, but this is not so important in Krishna consciousness. I mean, it is, but to me it isn't. I don't know how to explain it. But what's important is the way of life. Basically, they explain that we are living in Maya, in the illusion, and the point of life is to devote yourself to God, which looks like a blue child with a flute, So I don't care if it's blue guy with a flute or somebody else. I mean, the point is to devote yourself to God, however you see him anyway. And then you do these austerities. You have to chant for 2 hours at least, 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You have to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. You have to be surrounded by devotees. You have to eat prasadam, which is food offered to God. And did I forget anything? That's it, So this is basically life. So it doesn't seem like something that would harm you. But what I have issue with is the way they relate to the body, because they think that the body is a problem. They think that if you have a body, you are immediately lusty, that you are sinful. And that's the problem, because that creates an issue with self-love and self-acceptance. And also, I noticed that there is this tendency to, only think of God, and they're not grounded in here now. They're not loving themselves. They want to be somewhere in someplace else with God and not here. And I think that's, this is not why we came here. We came here to experience the material life, whatever it is. This is our service to God, to experience for Him how it is to be us.
I want you to go back to the period when you were in the Krishna community.
Yeah.
And I know that you lived with them for a few years.
I lived with them for 4 years, actually.
4 years. So
in
you
a temple.
believed it and you were living it.
I tried to believe it, yeah. I was trying to do my best. I dived deep into this lifestyle, of a monk. It's not the lifestyle of every Hare Krishna, because there are 4 stages. Brahmachari, it's a monk, it's a young disciple. Then you have Grihastha, who is a family person. It's when you have been Brahmachari some time, and then after you finished your, like schooling with Guru, then you are now starting family. After that, then there is when you're starting to live the family life and going into vanaprastha, living into a forest. In India, 5,000 years ago, after being a grihastha, family person, then you would move into forest. You would start to, like dissociate with the society. And then after that, you would become a sannyasi, like a teacher, guru, and that. So I was in a brahmachari phase, and it was like a monk, basically, which is not a true life. It's just you're focused on your Srimad Bhagavatam, you're focused on your japa mala, chanting Hare Krishna, and preaching also. You go outside, you give books, and you talk about Hare Krishna, and you sing. Singing is a great, a big deal in Hare Krishna movement.
Like for promotion and also to live the joy, right?
Yes. I liked singing and instruments. I liked it a lot, yes. I didn't like so much giving books and preaching, because it was painful. I mean, so much rejection. People don't want to hear about it, But playing music, you just play, and somebody, stops and listens and give you a coin or two, and that's fine.
So can I understand, when you were at this stage, how did you see or explain life? Like that there was a God who looks like it, or incarnating like a child, and he created the world, or
like a blue boy with a flute. Yeah, he's a creator, but he looks like a child. And also the view is, I am here in physical world, and this is Maya, illusion. This is not real. So my goal is to come back to Krishna. That was the goal of life. It was like trying to escape this material world as soon as possible, just to be with Krishna again.
And it made sense to you, right? At that time.
Yeah, of course. It made. But then I could later see consequences of rejecting the body, and eventually I got sick.
Tell me about I know that you got sick for a while. So what was it, and what was the story of that?
I lived in a temple in Zagreb. It was in Gainice, and we had some issues in our yatra. Yatra meaning the people, the congregation, and that there were two fractals. They were fighting, and I was living in a temple, and there were people attacking the temple president, and they wanted to take over the temple. So it was like a war, let's say. And so they sent me to Slovenia in their temple. They didn't have this issue. So I was living there. And, I don't know, at some point I asked myself, will I live like this forever? Because I gave up my apartment. I didn't have a job. And it was difficult to get out of it. And I was wondering, will I live like this forever? I don't want to do that. And there was one lady who was living there for like 20 years, and she was miserable. But the issue was, it was an old building, and we were in Hare Krishna movement. Cleanliness is a big issue. You have to be clean. If you go to toilet, you have to wash yourself. If you went with your garments in the toilet, you have to change them. So there is a lot of washing going on. And women were drying their clothes inside. So there were a lot of mold on the ceiling. And I think I got reaction to the mold. But also Hare Krishnas have a lot of feasts. Every Sunday you have a feast. And the food is a lot of flour, sugar, fat, which I don't consider to be very healthy. So this unhealthy diet combined with mold created allergic reaction to me that I wasn't able to breathe. I was coughing. And I was coughing so much that I couldn't speak at all. And I was useless. I couldn't, wake up in the morning for the program, and program was in the 5 in the morning. I couldn't do my services on the altar. I couldn't go out in Harinams for playing music and offering books. So I was useless to them. And so actually some devotees told me, what's that? Either go to the, program or leave, do something, and so I decided to come back home. And actually this was my escape home. This offered me to come back to material life again, and to Zagreb, and to my family, because in Hare Krishna movement also there is this fight with the family. They are not devotees, so they are karmis meaning material people. They are demons. So you are not allowed to really, be with them unless you are preaching to them, which makes a lot of problem with relating to your family. So
you were like disconnected from your family as long as you were with the Krishna devotees?
I saw my mom basically, and I visited, but I was disconnected, yes. And my mom had issue with this also. She liked Hare Krishnas from afar, and she liked to see them in the city, but she didn't like that I am with them in the temple and all this. And yeah, and this deity worship. And I come back to her because I was sick. I was worshiping deities, and she didn't like that. Especially when I was telling her about these cleanliness things, that you have to be clean. You must not try the food before they're offered to Krishna and stuff. And she got like, stop it, please. she got crazy with that. So
even when you left, you still believed, but just because you were sick.
I left in 2014, and I left the movement completely 3 years later.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was 3 years, I was in turmoil. Is it okay? What is Maya? Is Hare Krishna Maya, or is this material life? What is Maya? What is real? What is not real? What is right? What is my truth anyway? It was a struggle. Because I had many issues with Hare Krishnas when I was living there, but I was surrounded with them. But when I went out, I wasn't surrounded so much with that, because this is a recipe for brainwashing. Only reading this, only doing that, only being with such people. This is brainwashing, And when I was back with my mom, I wasn't with the devotees so much, and I wasn't into this chanting and reading so much, and I could see material world and other influences. So I could finally decide for myself what is true.
So it took you 3 years.
3 years, and it was painful. It's like when you change religion or belief, it's like a world is falling apart. You're so invested in it. You believe in it, and then you suddenly realize that it's not true. It's like, your carpet is moved under your feet. It's horrible feeling.
Yeah, your whole world collapse.
Yeah, crumbles. Yeah. And there was this one book, Our Universal Journey. When I saw this book, I know that if I read it, my Hare Krishna life will be over. It will be finished. But I read it anyway because I needed to know the truth.
What was it
Yeah.
about? Our universe.
It was about the organic matrix and synthetic matrix, and that religions and some New Age beliefs are basically pretending to be light, but they are synthetic light. So they're actually, hidden evil or something, let's say it like that. And so I recognized the Hare Krishna movement and worshipping of devotees to be actually the false light. And I also went, after I got sick, I went to exorcist also, and he told me, I don't know who you are worshipping, but it's not God.
Exorcist is like someone who, if you have a demon on you, he can...
Yes, I look like this. I was sucked. I was so skinny. I was without energy. I looked horrible, I mean, this disease obviously took the toll. But we went to this guy also, and he's doing healing, but also he's an exorcist. And he saw that there is energetically something seriously wrong here, and that whatever I was doing, it wasn't God worship.
The guy who you went to get this demon out of you, is he related to Christianity?
No, he was a Muslim. He was a Muslim. Yes. But I mean, if he can get me rid of demons, why not,
And did he?
So actually, yeah, he helped me later to regain. I was on smoothies. I changed my diet. We bought a blender, so I was drinking. I didn't want to go to the doctor and take antibiotics and all this. I was doing it naturally. It took me 7 months, by the way, to get my immunity back. And I went to this guy, exorcist, and I was a lot in nature. I was walking barefoot a lot. So I finally, after 7 months, I got myself back.